Hello guys, welcome at this channel. Today we're reviewing Matrix 2 or Matrix Reloaded. And this is the very first time I actually have seen this movie. And I just want to make one quick disclaimer. I understand that I kind of completely missed the plot on the original Matrix. That teaches me the lesson to watch the movie before I review it. I saw it about a month before I reviewed it, and I was like, I think I'm fine, and apparently I wasn't. So, and someone gave me a plot synopsis in the comments below, so thank you for that. And now I understand it better. So, I'm learning from that. I'm going to look at a plot synopsis for Matrix 2 because I need help, and because the plot was really complicated, even more complicated here. And before I get in that, yeah. Second thing, I actually have some, if you go to my last video, the whole big notice thing involving the Spider-Man stuff, I actually have most of it figured out now. I have gotten Far From Home and Spider-Verse, I got those two down, and so Homecoming, let's see, so there's 11 now. Well, 10 excluding No Way Home, because I'm just going to see in theaters. Homecoming, I already had purchased, so that and Amazing Spider-Man 2 are purchased, so those two are not a big deal. I got Far From Home and Spider-Verse purchased because I'm going to watch Spider-Man, both of those soon. Probably before I leave. I'm going to do them kind of out of order, so yeah. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 are on the Sci-Fi app, so I think I'm fine there. And then there's No Way Home and Amazing Spider-Man, which is Amazing Spider-Man I'm probably going to buy sometime soon, or I think that's what I'm going to do. And then that just leaves the Venom movies, which I think I'm not going to watch the Venom movies until a bit later. Venom and then Let There Be Carnage I'm going to do reviews to soon. And I'm not going to start my Spider-Man binge watch with the exception of Far From Home, because I'm going to want to watch that before No Way Home. I'm going to do that binge watch when I'm in Costa Rica, and then I'm going to do reviews after, and then I'm going to rank all the Spider-Man movies. With the exception of reviews for Spider-Man's 1 and 2, I'm still going to probably watch them again, but I'm not going to review them again because I already have reviewed them. And you can go check those out. So, this intro has been taking too long. That's enough Spider-Man talk. Let's just get it right into this. So, starting with this movie's about, did just read a plot synopsis, so, because it's very confusing with the movie. I still follow it, but not as much as the first one or anything. So, this movie's about continuing the war between the machines and the humans from the first one, but now now we got to see the whole city of Zion, which is kind of like this cyberpunk, kind of mixed in with more, I don't know what the word, barbarian sort of times. It's pretty cool, I guess. You get to see that, which is pretty cool. But now, like, you get introduced to a bunch of new elements to the Matrix, like the architect, the whole key maker thing, which the whole ghost twin thing, whether or not, and now people can duplicate it. So it expands the already really complex world of the first one. And I don't know, I can't say that's a good thing, so let's get into the review. Starting off with the good, a lot of the action is still pretty great. I think most of it is pretty fantastic for the most part. I absolutely love that free chase sequence. It's not as good as anything from the original Matrix, except for maybe at least all the bigger sequence from the original Matrix. But I still think it's a really cool sequence. It's well shot. I don't like the way it ends, or really the whole flying effects with Neo, but I'll talk about that later. And other sequences, the sequence right before that in that little area is really cool. The sequence where Smith is duplicating himself in the hallway. There's many cool sequences in this movie, and that's kind of what I like about it. Some of the newer characters they introduced are alright best, and Agent Smith is still a pretty good villain for the most part. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as he is in the first one. He's not as menacing because of how powerful Neo is. You know, I'll talk about that later. They overpower him a bit too much, so I have issues with that. That kind of sums up the good. That's really what I like about it. And I think as a whole, everything really up until the end, I'm like, it's decent. It's watchable. Like, I think this is a pretty watchable movie. I would rewatch it if I haven't seen this in a while. So, this is coming in from my first watch, and that's kind of all I really get to say. I get the mixed stuff, and the main thing that comes to my mind when I'm just mixed on when it comes to this movie is the CGI. Like there's some great effects like on the whole freeway chase, and maybe some of the duplication effects are pretty cool. And then there's some bad effects like Neo flying and some weird stuff with him and the duplication. There's some good things and bad things about that. Like there's too much. It looks like too much rubber things or something, and less actual acting during it. So it just looks kind of weird for the most part. Some of the bullet CGI does look great, and as a whole, I'm very mixed on this. This is the main thing when it comes to mixed stuff. That's kind of how I feel, and that's kind of I'll just end it there. I have the bad, and starting out the bad, the main thing that comes to my mind with this movie is just the extremely complex plot. Like for half the movie, I'm not really understanding even what's going on, and I'm having trouble following. Rewatches might help, but on the first watch, I found it kind of hard to follow for the most part, and it introduces so much and makes the already really complex world from the original Matrix 3 times more complex, and I don't really like that at all. Like you introduce things like the architect, which has a huge exposition dump at the end of the movie, which I didn't like whatsoever. Then you have those twin ghost things, which I don't know what they were going for there. The duplicating of Agent Smith, I kind of like the idea and concept, but it just didn't play out very well. And also the Keymaker thing, that's just kind of weird. They just throw everything. Like this one of those movies, it doesn't feel overstuffed, but it is overstuffed. So, because it doesn't feel like it's just jumping through plot points, but it kind of is, and that's kind of a problem. Another thing, Neo is way too overpowered. Like he can fly. Like I think honestly, that was actually a nice note to end the Matrix, but then get rid of the plot line by him being able to fly. Come on, really? And then there's sequences where he literally like heals people from death or brings them back from the dead. There's another scene where he's deflecting so many bullets, which that one's actually pretty cool. But it just feels like there's not real any danger to what's going on. I feel more danger when those Sentinels are attacking the Zion City. I feel more danger to that than when Neo's battling a bunch of agents. So I don't know. And also, a lot of the characters are very just not what they are in the original. Trinity is okay. She doesn't really bring very much in general to this movie. I still don't care for the relationship between them. I don't really buy it, and there's some weird scenes with them. It just doesn't work whatsoever. And the relationship in the original one, you could sort of buy it, but in this movie, it's just the weirdest thing, and it does hurt the movie quite a bit. And I think a lot of the other characters, Morbius is nowhere near as good as he is in the original. Where in this movie, the original, every line of dialogue that comes out of that guy's mouth means something. Well, I don't know about every line, but they kind of make an impact on you. Here, that's not really the case. He talks much faster in this movie, which I don't like whatsoever. At least a lot of the more important lines of dialogue. So, as a whole, I don't think he's anywhere near as good of a character. Neo's the big disappointment. Now he's like the great badass. He doesn't really have much, it doesn't feel like he has very much dialogue. I always found him kind of a one-note character in the original one, but that kind of works for what he's trying to do. But he has a bunch of other dimensions to him, like the scared side of him, the concerned side, the badass side, and it all really works. Here it's just like the badass side and give nothing else really other than that. So, I don't care for him as a character as much in this movie, even taking out the stuff, the whole overpowered thing, like, really? Another thing, I mentioned that I hate that exposition dump at the end. It kind of ruins the entire Matrix mythology. I'm not going to say it hurts the original one, because I kind of watched the original one more as a solo film than as a franchise film. And that's kind of what I've been known to watch. I've seen it at least like 5 times. And this is the first time I've watched it, and then watched it with the other sequels. So, I don't really know. I don't like that whole architect thing, and I just don't think it works. I hope Matrix 3 is good. I've heard it's terrible, but I'm hoping it's good. And I've high hopes for what Resurrection might bring, even though it might be bad too. But we'll see. Hopefully it's the one movie since Endgame that will get a positive theater experience out of my dad, because No Time to Die didn't, and that's not good. Overall, yeah, that kind of concludes this review. For this movie's final score, I'm going to give it a 5.8 out of 10. I still think it's fine. It's still watchable, but the ending is kind of what really hurts it. Like, the whole montage of sequences, like other movies, a good example of this is Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, where it jumps through sequences, and it actually does it quite well. Star Wars movies do this a lot, and they do it really nicely. And, Phantom Menace does this, Attack of the Clones doesn't. Revenge of the Sith does this. That one could have done it a little bit better, but it doesn't really bother me. Empire Strikes Back does this. A New Hope, no, not A New Hope. Return of the Jedi, whatever, and it just cuts away from things so weird, awkwardly, and it feels like they just cut out part of this movie. And I feel like there should have been an extra 20 to 30 minutes longer because of all this stuff that happens at the end of the movie. And by the end, I'm just kind of left on a really weird note, not a good note whatsoever. And the whole set, I think some of the plot lines involving Zion are pretty good for the most part, and I think that kind of works. And it's kind of hinted at in the original movie, but this is where you get to see it. That's definitely my favorite part about this movie, other than a lot of the other action sequences. And for the most part, I think a lot of the action sequences are actually really cool. Like, I really like that freeway chase. It's fantastic. Most of the other sequences are kind of forgettable. Like, the opening sequence is just not, I just don't think it's that good. As well as the one where Neo's battling these other agents. It's just another example of him being overpowered. Hopefully, Matrix 3 is better than it's been known to. And overall, I can't say I was really disappointed because I didn't have very high expectations anyways, but I was expecting to be at least a pretty good movie for the most part. And it was just okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.